Hi, Brad.
Hi, Sal.
Looking good. I like your new shirt.
Thank you.
Pacific Northwest.
Yes, you can see it.
We visited Machu Picchu. We did a podcast about it, but we thought we'd do a video as well, and we can update the podcast because there's always new developments, and there's particularly new developments in Peru.
Yeah, there is. We'll get to that. We're going to talk about our trip first.
Okay.
I had wanted to go to Machu Picchu my whole life. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Machu Picchu? And, my expectations were really high. So I was concerned, I expected a lot. I expected a 10, and Machu Picchu delivered. It was fantastic. We spent 2 full days in the park, and you get to Aguas Calientes, and you take the bus up. It looks like a really hairy drive, because, man, they are driving right on the edge of that thing, and you would just tumble down a couple thousand feet. But I don't think they've ever had something like that happen.
I've never read anything or heard anything like
Yeah, so the bus drivers in Peru are just really, really good. So you get to the entrance, you pay your fee, and we did an hour-and-a-half tour to start off, just to get the lay of the land, and you walk through the gate and you're looking out, just going, wow, it's truly outstanding. I was not disappointed at all. If anything, it was more than I had wanted. So.
You know what I think is interesting? You like to hike a lot and you like to see ruins, so that fulfilled like 2 of your favorite things to do.
Right.
If you're not a hiker, maybe it would be less interesting. I don't know. It is really amazing.
Yes. We didn't do the 4-day hike in. You're welcome to do that.
Or the 4-hour hike in either.
Yeah. And I would do the 4-hour hike in next time if I went. The train stops the train goes from Ollantaytambo to Aguas Calientes, and it stops at a certain point, and I don't know, 6 people got off, and you hike up the mountain and then over and down through the Sun Gate. So I think I would do that next time.
Yeah, I would do that as well.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. But man, the stonework, just the entire park. We spent, like I said, 2 days there. Our second day, we hiked Huayna Picchu, which is the mountain you see behind. I mean, I'm looking at there like, where is that trail? It's like you think you see a couple of parts, but that trail just goes right up the side of that thing.
Yeah, that was a difficult hike because it's quite steep, but it's not that far. It's not as far as you think it would be, because it's kind of just goes straight up. There's not a ton of, there's switchbacks, but it's just an ascent. At the time we were there, they were giving you, an hour and a half to do the round trip or something of that nature? Was it 3 hours?
3 hours.
Okay.
So,
and we used...
maybe 4. They did 1 in the morning and then 1 in the afternoon. So I think it was 1 at 9 o'clock in the morning and then 1 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, because there was a significantly older couple there, and it only took them an hour and a half to get to the top. And they just said, yeah, we just take our time. And so they had, they had an hour to walk around the top. There is, a trail around the top. There's stuff to see. Right,
there's ruins up there. And you can overlook the entire main area of Machu Picchu, which is really just very impressive, and it's so rugged, really beautiful.
Yeah, and there's really tiny steps. You're walking down these steps, and then you're looking off the cliff. So it's a little nerve-wracking because the steps are so tiny. They're only like 4 inches wide, and you're trying to walk down these. So, and there's a couple of caves, I guess I'll say, they're not very big, but you're gonna have to go through them to get around the top. But it's definitely worth going. One of the differences, now you have a half a day. Your ticket is worth half a day. Mm-hmm. We bought 2 full-day tickets back when you bought a ticket and you were in for the day, and they allowed 2,500 people in. Then they changed that to a ticket to go half a day. I think most people probably spend a half a day there, which to me is a waste. There's so much to see. Our tour took us around, the main plaza, the different stones. One that was, an image of the mountain range in the direct north. There's several very religious areas there. One's a big falcon in the stone, the Sun Temple. So there's a lot that they'll see. But then at the end, the guide says, you haven't seen everything. There's got probably 40 terraces and steps right next to them that you have to walk up to get to another beautiful overlook. And a lot of people miss that. I mean, that's not an easy hike necessarily, but it's well worth it.
There's also little Huayna Picchu, which we didn't hike, but that was an option when we were there as well.
Right.
A smaller, similar kind of mountain, but there's only enough time to do maybe one or the other, not both. Unless you're fast or long-legged.
Right. Yeah, I guess we spent more time at the top, and I was happy about that.
I was very happy with that as
Beautiful.
well.
I mean, it must be at least 1,000 feet down.
Just no railings, just
right.
a cliff.
Yeah.
Straight, sheer drop off.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The culture is so fascinating too. That site was there in the 1500s is when they believe it was constructed, but the Incan culture overall is fairly short-lived.
Yeah.
Very, very prosperous. Very. They took over a lot of other indigenous cultures through warfare or negotiation, but they weren't. It wasn't like thousands of years of history. It was very short.
No. Yes, it was like 100 years.
Yeah.
The Spanish came right at the end of that, and they were so depleted because they had a civil war happen between two brothers, and so that really depleted them. And the Spanish arrived, and they just didn't have the manpower to fight them. So.
I thought that the tour guides are always really interesting, and they do a really terrific job.
Yes.
I think it's great that you have that option, that opportunity to get history from people who are raised in that area and who have great understanding. And they'll use terms, the native language is Quechua, and they'll use a lot of that terminology, which I thought was really interesting as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And if you're going to go, spend some time in the Sacred Valley, spend a day at Ollantaytambo, spend a day at Pisac. Those are kind of on each end of the Sacred Valley, and then the drive through. So, but the big news, well, first you should go to Machu Picchu now.
Yes.
There's some big changes coming. They are putting in an airport near Chinchero. So right now you have to fly into Lima. You have to fly from Lima to Cusco, and you have to take a bus to Ollantaytambo, or taxi, I suppose. It's about 60 miles away. And then from Ollantaytambo, you take a train into Aguas Caliente, and then there's a bus up to the entrance of Machu Picchu. So the only international flights going to Lima, they are putting in a new airport in Chinchero, which is just above the Sacred Valley. It's in the mountains between Cusco and the Sacred Valley, and they're putting in an international airport there. They've already doubled the number of people
that they'll allow in.
Because your tickets are now half days. So then once they have this, the 1.4 million people that go to Machu Picchu every year can be 3, 4, 5 times that amount, because it's so much more accessible now. I mean, we took 4 days to get to Machu Picchu. Now you could do it in 3. You could do it in 2, but you wouldn't be very happy. I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah.
Because but once international flights start landing, an hour away from it, it's just going to be overrun. And
direct flights from the United States to Chinchero.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to even think about.
Yeah.
That's a really tiny little town right now.
Right.
They have a really beautiful cooperative, artist or craft cooperative that we purchased some items from when we were there.
Yeah.
They work together to keep prices high, essentially, because, tourists come in and they want to negotiate. The drive is to make a sale. I thought they did a really good job holding firm on price, as they should, because they need the money, and we have the money to spend, so
right. It wasn't
paid
like
$7 instead of trying to get it for $5.
Right.
Just pay the $7 and help them out.
Yeah. But that town, that just, quaint little town, is now going to have an international airport. And part of the problem is they think the Cusco airport can't be expanded anymore. Cusco's in a valley, so that airport, that valley's pretty packed. Mm-hmm. So they are going to put this in, and you're just, Machu Picchu is going to be overwhelmed, That's the problem with tourism, we all love to go see the sights, but once you start allowing 10,000 people a day on that site, it's going to take some damage. So.
Yeah, I feel conflicted. I definitely have a strong opinion about bringing in a large international airport with direct flights to Chinchero. For a lot of reasons, I think it's not a great move. I think it's short-sighted on the part of the government.
Yeah.
Conversely, I am a traveler and I've seen a lot of this world, and I'm part of the problem. I know that. I mean, I definitely travel, and I definitely see heavily visited historic sites.
Yeah.
I try to be respectful, of course, but I'm still there and I'm still making an impact, whether I'm being, just my presence is making an impact. And I recognize that. That said, I definitely disagree with this decision for so many reasons.
Yeah.
We know that in the United States, for example, on Highway 66 in the southern United States,
Right.
there were towns and communities that thrived when the highway was well traveled. Then big interstates essentially bypass those towns, and of course it leads to the death of towns. You see it all the time when big highways are put in, that the communities that were on the original roads really suffer economically.
Yeah, I could see Pisac being hit.
Cusco.
Cusco, yeah. Cusco thrives on tourism, and there's some great stuff in Cusco.
Yeah.
You should go see, but I think if people are just flying into Chinchero and, going to Aguas Calientes and spending the night there, Cusco's really going to hurt. So.
Yeah. And then there's the potential damage to Machu Picchu itself by having additional tourists allowed in.
Yeah.
There's the problem of international hotel chains building big fortresses in a community like Chinchero, where they are thriving currently. That that's going to change it's going to change that whole area.
Right.
And I don't think it's going to be in a really great way for the people who live there. I mean, there's probably upsides too, though. I mean, I don't know the entire scope or ramifications. More work may mean...
Yeah, there's more jobs, there's more money coming in. I mean, in many ways, Peru has tourism dialed in better than any place we've seen. The biggest problem in Peru is trash in the water that they don't have dialed in. But if you want to go somewhere in Peru, like, oh yeah, there's, it's 9 hours to the north and 6 hour drive into the mountain, they'll get you there. There's a bus going there.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So when you want to get around in Peru, it is really easy. We've never had trouble like, oh yeah, we want to go there. Okay, good. There's, an overnight bus. Get you there. You'll be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, wow. So they got that dialed in. Maybe too much.
Well, they definitely understand logistics and people moving, and I think that's that's really, really great for them. The downside, yes, I would agree. There's significant pollution in certain areas.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. It's very evident. We've got sick every time we've been there. We've got caught some kind of a food-related bug, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And that's not nice. That's unfun.
Yeah. It takes a couple days out of your trip, but
you get over it.
Yeah.
Gosh, we can't change the future.
No, go to Machu Picchu now. I think before this big change comes in, and before they are double, triple, 4 or 5 times the amount of people that they're allowing in. Go see it now. It is just, it's amazing. I was blown away. It is one of my favorite places.
One of the things that I will say too is that I felt the journey getting there, it's such a remarkable sight, and taking 4 days to get there was really absolutely terrific. It made the entire journey more memorable. It was just part of the whole experience of being in a different culture that I don't know that much about. Being able to progressively learn more about the historic culture and then the current modern culture as we worked our way towards this 4-day trip to get to our final destination, and then really entrenching ourselves once we were there and taking the time to see the site fully, as much as we possibly could hike in a couple of days around that site was well worth it. And if you can figure out a way to do it just to replicate that, you know,
Right.
do it that way.
Don't try to get there in 2 days. There was a woman and her family from France who flew into Lima, and they were going to fly to Machu Picchu, or fly to Cusco, take the bus to Ollantaytambo and the train to Aguas Caliente, and then the bus up to in 1 day. I mean, but our flight was delayed. Like, it was so fogged in, no flights were leaving. So she's like, I'm supposed to be in Machu Picchu today. And I'm thinking, wow, in a perfect day, you'd have a hard time making that. So, I mean, they flew halfway around the world, and I don't think she got to see it.
Oh, I can't imagine. Our flight didn't even leave until maybe noon or something like that.
So,
and the site it closes at like 6 o'clock at
4:30.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 4:30 is, well, that's when we were there. That's the last, you know, because you can't just, you know, walk in, oh wow, this is Machu Picchu, and turn around and walk out. I mean,
right. And you actually, and now they do have a rule that you have to have a tour guide the entire time that you're there, which I think is really good. First of all, it employs people who need money, and we should always support. When we travel, you know, I feel like we have a responsibility to support the economy as much as we can.
yeah.
And using a tour guide is one great way to help somebody advance economically, but also it helps protect the site from people who might be disrespectful, who might climb on things or touch things they're not supposed to, and I'd like that too.
Yeah.
And it's also respecting the culture, because you get an opportunity to learn about what you're seeing in a really thoughtful, usually great way.
Right. The tour guide we took was great. I mean, he was really detailed. I mean, the stonework, you know, it fits together. You can't fit a piece of paper in there. And if it goes like this, the other one goes like this, and they fit perfectly together on all 4 sides. That's the bottom. If there's a wave on the bottom, there's a wave on the top rock. They, you know, I have no idea how they did it. And some of these rocks are the size of this living room. I mean, they were massive.
Yeah.
40-ton stones that they put together. So there was some.
I loved it. The whole thing is fascinating. They have irrigation systems in Ollantaytambo and other places, and I believe there's one in Machu Picchu, but I can't recall if we saw one there that are still functioning.
Yeah,
they just channel the water that runs off the mountain.
Big spring up there, and the water runs down, and it starts at the, you know, the holier places, and then kind of runs down to the homes. And they use it for irrigation and washing and everything. Yeah, it's amazing.
Did we drank the water at one of the sites?
One of the springs, yeah. It's coming out of the ground. Then, you know, it's fine. That was out of Cusco.
Okay.
So.
Cold. It was delicious and cold.
Right, and all the llama or the alpaca. I'll try to tell you what the difference between a llama and an alpaca is. We learned that, but I don't remember. We're walking side by side in kind of a. There was walls on each side where there was lawn, and crack, crack, crack. He comes running up, and I turn around, and there's this guy standing right behind me, and I step aside, and then he takes off running again. So, you know, he could have bowled me over. They're good sized animal, right? I mean,
he ran right past me. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So, but they understand that people are here, and they, you know, he stopped, and they turned around like, oh, stepped to the side, and he took off running again.
He was after a lady.
Yes. So, but and people were bringing, you know, apples and bananas, a couple things to feed them. We didn't do that, but you certainly can.
It's kind of fun to see them. They just kind of wander around the site. You can take great photos. I have a photo of a baby with Huayna Picchu and Machu Picchu in the background.
Yeah, which I'll steal.
You are welcome to post to this video if you want to check out that great photo. It's such a great site. I would not change. The only thing I would change about our visit is I would do that 4-hour hike in this next time we go, and really just I will be there for as many days as it takes. We had to buy our tickets in advance.
You should buy your tickets in advance.
I think that's the best idea, and give yourself ample time to get there, because you don't know like you were saying, anything can happen.
Take the day, go through the Sacred Valley, and spend the time. Pisac has some fantastic ruins above the city. They have a great market there. You could do that. There's 2 towns on the way through and then Ollantaytambo.
I loved it there.
It was a great site to, and you could spend, half a day there. So spend the night in Aguas Calientes, you
We
know,
got there in the afternoon, as I recall, Aguascalientes, and spent the night and then hit Machu Picchu in the morning.
in the morning,
right?
yeah.
And that's a very small town. They have a pretty nice, thriving market and a couple of restaurants. There's
Yeah.
a train that runs through town, which is interesting, and a huge raging river that runs through town. It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
mountainous,
Yeah.
but it's very small. So I wouldn't say there's a lot to do there, but if you get in the air in the afternoon, you can have some dinner and
Yeah.
relax. And
they have a
get
place if you're into, backpacking camping type thing. At the far end of town, they have a big field and there are tents set up there. And so you can do it that way too.
Yeah, we saw some people who were actually, I don't know if they hiked up to Machu Picchu from Agua Caliente, but they hiked down, which is also a possibility. You don't necessarily have to take that bus. It is like 8,000, 9,000 feet though, so if you aren't acclimated, it's
Right.
a little tough to breathe.
Yeah, Machu Picchu is 8,500 feet, so it's probably maybe 7,000 feet at the bottom. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a significant hike up the side of that mountain, but there's a trail. I mean, when you're driving on the bus, you see those steps coming up and then across the road and going up. So, and there's some people that did it.
Yeah,
So,
I saw some
there's
people hiking.
some
on
young
that.
men up there when we got to the top. They're like, yeah, so.
That seems like that might be fun. You know, the Inca trails are expansive and they go all over. We saw the Inca trail when we were visiting Inca
Oh, right.
which is,
Ecuador.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's as far north as the Incan Empire went.
Okay. So you could
But,
probably hike on that if you could figure it out and get all the way back to some other Incan
Oh,
city
yeah,
or place.
absolutely.
That would be really interesting to do at some point. Anyway,
I'm probably not going to do that.
I'm probably not going to do it either, but for
Yeah.
somebody who's interested in
Yeah.
long treks.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I don't know that I have anything else to add.
No. Just
Go
go
now.
now. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sal.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you like. Thanks.